Getting away and going off-grid in your caravan, camping weekends away is great, but now that we're living this lifestyle, living in our van, off-grid full-time, in this video just want to run through how we can do it and show you to help you out once we share how we can do this and the tips and tricks that we've learnt along the way and over the years of staying off-grid in your caravan for extended periods of time. Not just weekends away, not just a week here and there. We've been set up here for nearly 5 weeks and looks like we're going to be staying for another week or two with a bit of bad weather coming in. A couple things that we need to touch on to make sure that you too can enjoy the off-grid lifestyle, which many people are choosing this day and age over living in the cities, which is very expensive these days. Living off-grid is such a great lifestyle, and we're out here, as you'll see in the footage, on 400 acres. We've nearly got this property to ourselves at the moment, and we're staying here very cheap. All we do is go and help the owner out, a few hours here and there to go and help him out, cutting a bit of firewood, which he sells, that's his business, help him out with a bit of fencing, or any other chores that are required around the farm. So there's minimal camping fees, or at this place where we're parked up for so long, 0 camping fees. But yes, we did buy him a carton of beer just because he's a good bloke, and thanks very much for having us here, mate. So the biggest thing, really, in my opinion, let us know in the comments what you think as well, for an extended off-grid stay, would have to be water. We've got 250 litres in the bladder here, and that's how we transport our water. We can hold 160 litres in the tanks in the van of general use water for washing up and shower water, plus 40 litres of designated drinking water, which gets filtered before we drink it. Our water use, would say on average, is between 20 to 30 litres per day. And you'll see there, after a day in town, we filled up everything that we had with the 2 water bladders. We've got the 250 and another 100, plus a 70 litre water tank underneath the ute. We can transport 440 litres of water at any one time. And that puts us right up near our GVM, so we're right on our weight limit there. Before anyone leaves a nasty comment that you'll be overweight carting all that water, no, we're not. We're not towing anything. We can't transport this when we're all packed up on travel days and moving to our next campsite. But on those days where you've got to go to town, topping up all your water, unless you've got a little creek somewhere nearby or a dam where you can grab a bit of water for your washing up or washing your clothes, that gets us through for 10 days, between 10 days and 2 weeks. Using that water. Yes, we do use a little bit more, and we'll show you later in the video how we do our washing and the little bit of water that we do use for washing our clothes, but most of it is between that 20 to 30 litres per day, which is about the average, I think. Some days might be more, especially in winter time and you have a nice warm shower to warm up, but in summer quite often it's a 30-second cold shower out under the tap off the hose on the ute. You don't need to be standing in the shower for any more than a minute. Quick showers is the go, and that's the biggest way to save water when you're off grid. And to transfer that water, show there how we pump it through and into the van. Now with our drinking water, because that water is possibly contaminated out of the water bladders, they're not drinking water or designed for potable water, and we have had river water in there, we've had dam water in there, we've had rainwater in there. You don't want to be drinking that stuff unless it's well and truly filtered. So to solve that, we've just got 15 litre jerry, which gets tipped in to the designated drinking water tank. The 15 litres of drinking water lasts us about a week. 40 litres there overall. We fill that up before we go anywhere, and then just top that up. So every time we go to town, which is about every 10 days to 2 weeks, we'll top that up and fill up any water bladders, or sometimes even just the tank in the ute. If it's not an extended stay, we just need that little bit to get us through. That's how we top up our drinking water, and probably 15 litres a week would be about what we use. Yeah, when I'm boiling the billy for having me coffees in the morning, and anyone that knows me have quite a few coffees, sometimes that is just dam water or water out of a creek on the beach, and that's fine. Once it's boiled, that's fine, 100% suitable for drinking. But that's basically our water situation and how we can get through extended periods off grid. So how do we know exactly how much water we're using? Well, a while ago we installed the LPG Bluetooth gauge, which is just the module, an inline fitting that meters the water that's flowing through that pipe and sends that back to the module through the app on your phone. Through Bluetooth, it shows you exactly down to the litre how much you're using. Yes, with the Bluetooth model you do need to keep refreshing the screen to get a regular update, but I just check it once a day or every couple of days and see exactly where we're sitting and what our usage is, and shows you how many litres are left in the tank. So good and so much better than the old school outdated gauges. Like our van's 10 years old, you can't rely on what those gauges are saying. There might be 10 litres left in the tank, there might be 50 litres left. Not with the Topogy Bluetooth gauge, and they do make other ones with an actual screen that you can just have a look at any time and check to see the actual water usage as well as how much is left in your tank. So good having that Topogy gauge. We absolutely love it and be lost without it. They also make another clip-on gauge where you can check the flow of any hose, so you can actually measure how much water you're pumping back into your tanks, because once you get down a bit, unless you're filling them up and do a full reset back to full, you know exactly how much you're putting back in, and you can calculate how many days worth of water you've got left in your tanks. So thanks to Topogy for that. For more information, check out the description of this video. Leave a link there to their website so you can have a look at those. Quick and easy to install, and like I said, we'd be lost without it, knowing how much water that we've got left in our tanks being the #1 thing that you need to survive off grid for any amount of time. But you'll see here in this next bit of footage, when it's raining, how we can capture all that water and make sure we're able to save that water. We had a downpour a while ago. Through my plumbing set up there, just got these plastic clips. I can't remember the name of the company where we got them from, but it rolls that little flap up on your awning into a gutter. All the water drains down into my downpipe there, which is just a funnel from Bunnings, and through this corrugated hose which runs all the way down into another water bladder. It's our 100-litre water bladder, which is sitting there chock-a-block full. So there's 3 days of water easy there, just stored away for when we need it. There's the end of the pipe, so we can drop that into a bucket if it's going to rain, and there is a chance of storms this afternoon, so we'll set that up and catch every little bit of water that we can while it's raining, because not having an end date of when we're leaving here, if we stay a bit longer we might need a bit more water. Worst case, I have got that nice dam there with nice clean water that might get us through for a day or two. So that is #1, and I believe that's the biggest thing with living off grid for extended periods, is water. The next one is the other end of all that water. What happens with that? Now, we prefer not to stay at those sites where you do need to catch your grey water and deal with that. So at the moment where we're staying, it just runs out on the ground, and you'll see the only patch of nice green grass anywhere to be seen is where we've been parked up, and our drain hose has been running out for the last 4 or 5 weeks. But you've got your cassettes and your toileting to worry about. We've got 3 cassettes, there's 1 in there, and we've got the other 2. We're getting 3 to 4 days out of a toilet cassette before we need to go into town and find a dump point. Now that usually works out perfect with our water supply and when we need to go shopping again. So we'll try and time that right to head into town, buy our food. We'll stock up for another 10 days, 2 weeks. We'll top up with water, whatever we need, make sure we've got plenty of drinking water, empty the cassettes, and then we're back to camp. We'll know we're covered for at least another 10 days to 2 weeks. So I reckon we get between 3 and 5 days out of each cassette. They're only the little 17-litre ones, but that does the job for us. The next one would be your gas supply. And we've got 2 9 kilos, and that gets us through only running the fridge mainly and a little bit of boiling the kettle in the morning. We don't use the gas for anything else unless the weather's bad, purely just for running the 3-way fridge. Hey Brad, don't forget about the gas hot water system. That's the other thing that runs on gas. Now with our fridge dramas, if you watched the last video, we have been having ongoing issues with our 3-way fridge, but we've since rectified that. When it was playing up, we were lucky to get 10 days out of a bottle of gas. Now we've replaced all the things that was discussed in the last video, and we're getting close to 2 weeks out of a 9 kilo bottle. Nothing else has changed. We're still using the burner in the morning to boil the kettle that first time until the fire boils the billy for me the rest of the time. Nothing else has changed, so big improvement on our gas supply there. So same thing, once we go to town every 10 days to 14 days, we'll have an empty gas bottle to fill up while we're in town, and then we're right again for another 10 days to 2 weeks. So that's how we manage our gas supply. In winter time, we've got the gas heater going, especially if we're back out this way and it's into the minuses. We'll have the gas heater going all night. Yes, obviously we're going to burn through more gas, but at this stage in the middle of summer, and that's getting over high 30s and into the 40s every day, the fridge is struggling, but it's still maintaining that temp anywhere under 4 and 5 degrees. So the old 3-way fridge is hopefully fixed and doing the job, and even better, using less gas. So that's how we manage our gas supply. The next and probably the second most important one for an extended stay off grid is the sun and these things right here. Yeah, you might have a big battery system in your camper trailer or your caravan, or even just a power station if you're tenting or swagging it, but you need to be able to recharge that. Now we've got 480 amp hours of battery in the caravan with 600 watts of solar panels on the roof of the van. Usually that does us just fine. It gets us through when we've got plenty of sun. A while ago there, we had a week with 3 days of rain and clouds in that week. By the third day, yes, we were down to 50% of battery, and I was starting to get a little bit worried of how we can charge that back up. Back then we didn't carry a generator with us. It was a bit of trial and error for the first few months. It was the only time where we may have needed that. Worst case, we pull a little Bluetti power station out, and that would have got us through as a backup power supply. Now we are carrying a little Honda One generator where we can just plug it in just to purely run the battery charger and top up the batteries if needed, but we haven't need to even think about plugging it in as of yet. But having portable panels like this, 250 watt, yes, they're only the King's ones, but they're perfect when you can move them around as that sun moves, or to get it out from under the trees. Once the shade comes over the panels on the roof of your caravan, you're getting zero power going into your batteries. At least having portable panels, you can move it wherever you need to. You can swap it between vehicles. At the moment I've got it plugged into the ute because the batteries are getting down a little bit on that. We haven't been doing a lot of driving. Being able to cover all those different scenarios and having that portable panel, we used to have a blanket as well, but we've done away with that, so we're not carrying so much weight with us. That there is the perfect setup and getting us through. Having that portable panel, plus we've got 220 watts on the roof of the ute. The biggest thing with solar panels, especially out here where it's so dry and dusty, is keeping them clean. Every couple of days I'll get up there, give them a light hose off and give them a wash with this mop. Now this is highly engineered, and I probably should patent this setup. All it is your cheapest mop you can get from Bunnings, just with the pad on it, flexible tip, and then we've just got an extendable aluminium pole, one of our spare ones, bit of insulation tape, a couple of zip ties, highly engineered so that I can stand on the ladder at the back of the caravan, get up on the roof and reach from one spot. Before I thought about engineering the extension for the mop, I used to have to move the ladder 3 or 4 times to be able to get to each panel, but not anymore. Stand there in one spot and get the whole lot in one go. Keeping them clean definitely maximises the power going back into those batteries to charge them up. So that's all good and well when you're talking about having battery power and being able to charge them, but what are we actually using it for? What's it powering? Well, our biggest draw is probably this here, running the Starlink. Running that thing at least probably 14-15 hours a day. Turn it off of a night time, but from the moment I get up in the morning, start on the socials and updating anything there, working online, the Starlink needs to be on. So that's our biggest user of power. Inside the van, yeah, you're running your lights of a night time. In this heat, we're running the fans pretty well because it is cooler inside the van than sitting out under the annex during the day in those 40-degree days. But occasionally we'll use the air fryer inside, we'll use the microwave, not every day, but that's an option, especially when the weather's bad or you don't feel like cooking outside. Quick and easy meals done in the air fryer or the microwave is the go. That's the only power that we use, and on average I'd say just by doing that there with the Starlink going all day but turned off overnight, we're probably using about 100 amp hours of battery per day, which probably seems a lot. If you've only got one 120 amp hour or AGM battery or whatever in your caravan, that's a lot of power. But we're set up and designed so that we can do that, and that's used for charging laptops as well, camera gear and everything. Plus most of that's always charging off of the Bluetti power station, so that we minimise our usage off of the house batteries in the van. It does chew into it, especially if you haven't got all that power going back in, which is combined with those solar panels. If I've got the portable panel plugged onto the van as well, we can get up to about 50 amps going back in, 50 to 60 amps of power going back into those batteries. At the moment, with just the flat panels on top of the roof, we're probably getting about 30 to 40 in full sun. Now where we're parked here, you're probably thinking it's not ideal, you're behind all those trees. Now that was done for a reason, and we had to sort of take the option of a little bit of shade behind the trees in the afternoons, because the sun goes down out there, just to get a bit of shade over the van so it's not stinking hot during the night. In the morning we do get a bit of shade off of this one here, but generally during the day we get a good 4 to 5 hours of sun on those panels, and that's enough to charge it back up to 100%. With having all those panels on the roof, and yes, they are just mounted there flat, fixed in one position. You can't tilt them, directly pointed at the sun, so you're only maximising that sun for maybe 3 hours out of all that. Whereas with a portable panel, you can tilt it and rotate it so that you're pointing straight at the sun. And I'll show you a little bonus tip here on adjusting your panel. Very simple, but very effective. So stand behind it and have a look at the shadow. The sun is straight up there, we're looking straight at it. The panel is nearly square onto it because the shadow is nearly directly under it. The sun is starting to move a little bit over this way, so we do need to rotate the panel a little bit to maximise it, the efficiency and the power coming out of it. So we'll just pick that up, move it a little bit, and I'll exaggerate it and show you. So now we're more square on. The shadow is nearly directly under it, so that is pointing nearly 90 degrees at the sun. I'll show you what it looks like if we're the other way. So if your panel's not lined up with the sun, we're looking back over that way now to the east where the sun would be in the morning, your shadow's not going to be under the edge of your panel. And you look at this end, it's even more of a giveaway. It's outside of the edge, so it's not pointing at it. But as you rotate that around and you get that shadow back underneath there, it could even go a little bit more yet as the sun's moving. About there is perfect. Just a little tip, it's quick and easy. Just something that you can look at with your eyes and go, oh yep, I need to move your panel a little bit. It's not critical on those days where you're not stressing or maxed out for power, or trying to get as much in as you can. But those days when it is like that, especially after a few days of rain or something, you want to maximise every watt and every amp hour that's going back in. So it's not much of a tip, but I hope it helps you in some way. It's definitely what I used. When you've got those other panels on the roof that are fixed and you can't move them or tilt them to the sky or whichever way, they're fixed there, they're stuck there, they aren't moving, and you're only getting about 2 or 3 hours worth of proper solar efficiency out of those panels. Whereas these ones, you can maximise it from sun up until sundown. So where we're parked here, it's not ideal, and we had to compromise between full sun and a bit of shade. Being in summer, we did want a bit of shade, especially for a bit of relief in this very hot weather. We've got east over here, we've got a tree in front of us, which means we don't get sun on the panels until about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Then we get sun right through till about 1 o'clock, and then we're shaded by these trees in the afternoon with the west out there, all shade across the van, which keeps us cool in the afternoons. It does cut down on your solar input, but it definitely makes a difference to the temperature in the van, as well as sitting under the awning trying to stay out of the heat. So food, what do you eat while you're away for extended periods off grid? Well, like I've said a couple of times already, we'll go into town every 10 days to 2 weeks and sort of do a 2-weekly shop. We stocked up big time before we got out here and probably had about 3 to 4 weeks worth of food of the major staple sort of stuff. But then your meat, your other bits and pieces, your perishables, you do need to go and stock up on those, like your bread and milk and the basics. So how do we keep that cold once we get back? Now, it's not too bad now that we've resolved, or hopefully resolved, our fridge issues, but a while ago we were just relying on the fridges in the ute. So we've got the 75 litre dual zone kick-ass fridge, And that is amazing, that fridge. It has not missed a beat since I've owned it in 3 years. I will leave links to all the stuff that we use in the description of the video via our link tree. If you're looking to get any of these products or want to do any shopping and help support us just that little bit in the way of a little bit of commission, check out these products and many more in that link tree on any of our YouTube videos. We've got that 75 litre kick-ass. Then we've got this 40 litre, which was just our bait freezer when we went to Fraser Island. That come in super handy when the fridge was playing up. We just kept everything in there that needed to, or between both fridges, because the fridge in the van, it was only the freezer that was staying cold in there and keeping everything frozen. The fridge, we couldn't put anything in there, it'd just go off, sitting at 10 to 12 degrees. We've got those two fridges in the ute, and then we have got the 175 litre Thetford 3-way fridge in the van. That's how we keep everything cold. And then when it comes to cooking this food, I said before that we use the air fryer a little bit, we use the microwave a little bit, and that is very rarely, only if the weather's bad. When the weather's good and we're out on properties with an unlimited supply of firewood, we prefer to cook out on the open fire. Boil the billy every morning, and now that we've got the ArcPit, that thing is amazing and by far the best fire pit we've ever owned. Stainless steel, finally learnt how to cook on stainless steel, and the grill, it works perfectly as our barbecue setup. As well as, if you're camping somewhere and you can't have a fire on the ground, the perfect fire pit. It's easy to light, it burns super well. I was very doubtful that it was going to burn as good as it does, but that thing there is incredible and I'm impressed with that. I'll leave a link to ArcMate in the description of the video as well. We're not affiliated, but super proud and happy to be promoting a small family Queensland owned business for such a great product that can help you out anywhere in your travels, whether it's just for a fire to sit around with a cold drink in the afternoons or to be cooking on every night like we have been now for over a month. We've also got 9-quart camp oven and another little one, and that gets us through. That's all we need to have to be able to cook. We've got the butane cooker outside, and we have got the other burner which usually just has the kettle on it for that first coffee in the morning. We can sit the plate on that, or a fry pan as well if need be, if the weather's bad or we're somewhere where we can't have a fire, or like when we first hit the road, fire bans for the first couple of months. We had all our firewood with us and we couldn't have a fire. But while we're on a property like this without fire bans, unlimited supply of firewood, it's so good to be able to cook on the fire every night and most mornings. How good is it to sit there with your coffee, cook up a bit of bacon and eggs or hash brown? I love cooking on the fire, and I'm going to miss it once we head off to our next couple of adventures, which is something pretty exciting for us. We have got our first couple of official farm sits or house sits coming up. First one's only 2 weeks, but that's a good head start for us to go and look after somebody else's property, feed the chooks, make sure the cattle have got water in their troughs. It's going to be so good in return for somewhere to park up free. Like this place here, fully off grid. Those ones we will be able to plug into power. We'll have a water supply. Once you've been off grid for so long, you soon learn how to conserve water, and if you're from the country, you know how precious that water supply really is. And speaking of how precious water really is, you would have seen me splashing a bit of water around during this video. When you've got a dam just there and we're able to suck a little bit out, or even just grab a bucket full and enough to have a cold shower during the day to cool down in the heat, it's so good. But we're always very mindful of conserving our water. But in this heat, cleaning your solar panels, you use half a litre in order for increasing a lot more power input into your batteries. So that's justifiable, I reckon. But in this heat, being able to beat the heat, the biggest thing is staying out of it. Standing under a shady tree, sitting under the awning, which is all right until it warms up. But you'd be surprised the heat that comes through, just even off the white vinyl, down underneath there. It was 41 degrees sitting underneath there the other day. So your body is just absorbing all that heat and you just can't get any relief from it. So we found the best bet was, once the shade comes out, clouds have come over now a little bit, but it was nice and shady out here, and I reckon it was 5 degrees cooler sitting out here under a shady tree than sitting under there. So it's all about maximising or minimising those temperatures however you can get out of it. And like I said before, it was actually cooler inside the van by a couple of degrees because it's insulated, instead of all that heat coming down on the roof of the annex, and we're sitting underneath there even though there was a slight breeze blowing. But yeah, it's just so hot. And then I'll show you these other couple of ways that we cool down here, where you just have a quick cool shower out off the water that's stored out of either the water bladder or the water tank in the ute, or a bucket of water out of the dam. Just that slightest little breeze once you're wet to cool off. Also got that little spray bottle in the fridge. Reaching in to grab the spray bottle and not a beer just doesn't seem right sometimes, but on those real hot days, that's a lifesaver really, just to lower your body temp, give you that little bit of relief, even if it's only for 5 minutes, and then go and have another squirt. Every little bit helps. We've also got a couple of cooling towels there that our good friends give us. We've used them quite a few times, just doing what you can to stay cool. We've been swimming in the dam, had some great times there when our family was out here for the Australia Day weekend. But when the water's that hot and it's 40 degrees outside, you're only cool while you're in the water, and it doesn't last long once you're back out into the heat and the humidity. It's just been crazy. And we have got the air conditioner in the van, and yes, we could run it for a short amount of time just to cool it down just on dark. We haven't done it yet, but it doesn't take long to chew through your battery power. But 15 minutes, 20 minutes would be fine, just to cool it down that little bit for a little bit of relief late in the afternoon or before you go to bed, because we've had some hot, still nights here. The bugs go crazy. Even though we've got the van all sealed up, the bugs still get in somewhere, a few of them anyway, nothing like it used to be. But it's just trying to get that little bit of relief and trying to get a half decent night's sleep when it's so hot outside. Another big one in the heat is just keeping your fluids up, drinking that water, trying to stay off the beer, which I know is hard, but even I've been forcing myself to stay off the beer and get on the hydrolytes, because it definitely does help when you've got that stuff going back into your system, instead of sitting there having a few cold beers, and it just dehydrates you even more. And the last one I'll touch on is just being prepared for any situation with the weather, be it the heat, be it storms and rain and the wind. And we're out here 30 odd kilometres west of Warwick, and the winds have just been cyclonic there a couple of days in the last week. Just crazy. You don't get that sort of wind out here normally. Yeah, you get the westerlies in the winter months, but not in summer. So when we got here, we set up and we made sure everything was 100% secure. Everything's tied down, got all the ground dog screw pegs in. Everything was flapping in the wind the other day. I got up a couple of times during the night. Our other privacy screen is a bit extra shade. That just gives you that little bit, even though you can still get the sun through it and it does get hot. I've said before, we are compromising a bit of sun for the trees to give us that bit of relief from the sun, but at the same time need to be very mindful of any branches on those trees or the whole tree that's going to snap off, especially if you do get a big storm or those high winds. I was worried the other night, but nice young ironbark trees like this are fairly stable. You definitely wouldn't be camping under any big gum trees and have one of those fall off and could kill you or cause some serious injuries and a lot of damage to your home. So you need to be very mindful of that and not camping underneath those big trees. But where we are here is quite safe and just gives us that little bit of relief and the shade in the afternoons. We're doing our washing while we're off grid. It's not roughing it. We're not doing it by hand in a bucket. No. We have got the little 3 kilo NCE front loader, and that is nice and efficient to run, doesn't use much water, and it's just powered off the Bluetti. It hasn't started its cycle yet, it's still filling up with water, so it's not using much power at all. Just gravity feeds, drains onto the ground out of the water pump from the other side, same as when we were filling the water tanks up. But how good is that? It was a bit of a mission to install in there a while ago before we left home, but it's so good having that sitting there doing your washing. The only thing you need with it mounted in the back to the headboard like that is to make sure it needs to be level both ways. But that's easy to do with a couple of chocks under the wheels and you're washing in no time. 15-minute cycle, uses about 9 or 10 litres of water per load. So good. You only have 3 or 4 loads of washing every couple of weeks each, so what's that, maybe 8 to 10 loads, small loads, 3 kilos roughly, every 2 weeks. It's not much. And then you just hang it out on your bit of rope or your clothesline, tied between a few trees, and the washing's done. Especially in this weather, it doesn't take long when it's so hot and dry. But that's how we do our washing off-grid, or anywhere now that we're living like this. If you have any questions or got any other ideas on staying off-grid for extended periods, please let us know in the comments, or even just comment, say g'day. So there's probably been a heap of stuff that I've missed on living here for an extended period of time. Like I said, 5 weeks here in one spot. It's been so good. With a view like this, just overlooking the dam. You do get the jets flying around, must be from Amberley out Ipswich, doing their Top Gun stuff up in the sky, flying around, doing barrel rolls and dog fights and everything. But it's so good. It's not about the destination sometimes, it's just about the destination. It's about being there. We're sort of in the middle of nowhere, enjoying the quiet life. There's nobody else around for miles, camping on our mate's property. So I hope this video has helped you guys in one way or another. If you're about to set off on your first weekend off-grid getaway, or you're looking at doing this like we are, making this our life, I hope it's helped you in some way or another and give you that little bit of an idea on what's required to live off-grid and to stay off-grid for extended periods. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you very shortly on the next video, on the next Randyscape adventure out in the goldfields. See you later, guys. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye bye.